Alright, boys, I'm back. Night of Champions 2025 just happened, and it was a predictable waste of time. So let's get right into it. As always, I'm gonna go over the whole show, match by match, and at the end, I'm gonna give you my rankings from the worst to the
Juicy.
match we got tonight. Let's get this started. The show opened up with the match between Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes for the King of the Ring crown. Unfortunately, there was not much to say about this match. It was Randy Orton carrying Cody Rhodes to a decent match for what you can get out of Cody Rhodes. Randy Orton being one of the best to ever wrestle, and Cody Rhodes being one person that has wrestled. It is a very weird match to talk about and explain of why it did not work because you had Randy Orton carrying Cody Rhodes, but because Cody Rhodes is not that good of a wrestler, he's always going to drag down the match. And this was Randy Orton trying to get a good match out of Cody, but it was still just limited and mediocre at the end of the night. There were no big spots, no crazy moments to talk about. There was the endless finisher spam and kickouts that you expect in every WWE match these days, but nothing really exciting happened to make this match memorable. It was just a SmackDown match. It was a SmackDown match that you see every week between these guys. They could have done something with it because they do have history with each other, but since WWE doesn't do storylines anymore, the match fell flat and boring. Cody ended up winning, which is not surprising at all because we know that Triple H really likes Cody, so it was no surprise that Cody won, and he's gonna go challenge for the title again at SummerSlam. At the end of the match, they had a in-ring promo where Saxton came in and he talked to Cody Rhodes, and while Cody Rhodes was talking and cutting his promo, I don't know how to explain this, but I got this vibe from him, and I finally understood why I don't really like Cody Rhodes promos and why I feel like he's phony or fake. Every time he talks on the mic, it feels like a politician is talking to you. Everything that he says sounds fake and phony in some way. Like he says these statements and remarks that when you really think about them, they don't mean anything or they don't get anything done. He just says things to get a reaction from the crowd. So I never connected with his promos because he always sounds like a politician. And that's one of the biggest things that are holding Cody back. His in-ring ability is not the greatest, but that could be fixed. But his promos are also lacking. So he's been the face of this company for so long that his promos should have been fixed by now, but they haven't. They have always been these politician-like promos where he just talks and he doesn't really say anything at the end of the day. It's like word salad. He just makes these statements that are supposed to get a reaction out of the crowd, and then it's over, and you kind of feel empty. This match was nothing special. Randy Orton did his best, but since Cody was in the ring, the match was always going to be limited. Going into the second match of the night, we had Rhea Bloody Ripley versus one half of the women's tag team champions, Raquel Rodriguez. This match is every street fight in the WWE that we get right now. Have you noticed that every street fight that we get now feels the same? They all have the same weapons, the same spots, the same energy, nothing unique. It's always the same thing. You know that candlesticks are gonna come out, chairs are gonna come out. You know, back in the day, street fights were fun. They were random. You didn't know what was gonna happen because it was a street fight. They were gonna bring out some wacky weapon. They were gonna do some wacky move. But not anymore. They treat street fights like a normal one-on-one match that a candlestick is allowed, and nothing happens in these street fights anymore to make them memorable in current WWE. And this street fight that we got is nothing different. This was a very forgettable street fight. It might as well not have even been a street fight. It should have been a normal match. Nothing really happened. Roxanne Perez ran interference, but she got her ass beat by Rhea Ripley. And then Rhea Ripley did a move off a table, and then she won. So Rhea Ripley picked up the win, another non-surprise finish. This is going to be a theme of this show. This show was really not surprising at all. Very by the numbers and very generic and very readable. This show didn't do anything. This show wasn't bad. This show wasn't good. It was right in the middle. And that is the worst thing that a show can be. Because if it's bad, at least you got something to talk about. You can rage. There's some emotion there. And if it's good, you can be like excited and like very happy that you saw that. But this show was just very bland. No surprises. No shock finishers, nothing. Everything that we expected to happen happened. This felt like it was just another Raw or SmackDown. This did not feel like a pay-per-view. It did not have a big fight feeling. All the matches were all SmackDown matches. Nothing felt grand or big or like this is a pay-per-view that we should get excited about. Everything just felt the same. And that's the problem of what this show is. Everything was just the same. Everything about this show you have seen before. You've seen these matches before. They happened in the past, but better. No shocking ending, no shocking win, nothing. We all knew that Cody Rhodes was gonna win. Cody won. We all knew Rhea Ripley was gonna win. Rhea won. And with every other match, we all knew who was gonna win, and those people won. There was no shock, there was no surprise, there was nothing to this show. And that's the problem with these shows now. Everything is just becoming too similar, too same, too generic, too readable. They're going through the motions. I don't know if they're waiting for like lightning to strike and for them to catch it in a bottle out of nowhere, but something needs to happen because we can't keep having these boring pay-per-views where nothing happens. Move on to match 3, the low point of the show for sure. It was Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. Sami Zayn, very over with the crowd today. The crowd was really behind him, and during the entrances, the crowd was alive. But when the match happened, the crowd died. The match was the slowest of the night, and it was very start and stop. They would do a move and then they would stop. They would walk around, they would take a breather, they would do something else but continue to wrestle. And it happened over and over and over. That match never kicked into second gear, and the ending was also abrupt and weird. Karrion Kross had the upper hand, and then out of nowhere, Sami Zayn came back to life, hit his finisher, and then Karrion Kross lost. He lost to one finisher. And I know that sounds weird because it's the finisher and that's supposed to be the ending, but in today's WWE, we see 50 different finishers before the match ends. So when a match does end with just one finisher, it feels abrupt and random. That's something they need to fix. They need to cut down on the finisher spams so the finishers can actually now be believable when a match ends after just one finisher hit. Moving on to the 4th match. This match had the possibility of being great. And I was hoping that this match was going to be more than what it was. But again, just the way they wrestled and how it was just a very generic match that you would see on SmackDown. Everything just felt low energy for some reason. Everybody was either tired or way too laid back for this show. Nobody came in with their A game tonight. It was Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu for the US title. The match itself, nothing to write about, but at the ending, we did get some things. So one of the Tongas is back. The guy that got injured at Survivor Series, Tanga Loa, he's back and he attacked Jacob, so he's still with Solo. And then they introduced this new guy, this other guy that we have no idea who it is, but apparently, according to Michael Cole, he is the brother of the Tongas. I have no idea who this guy is. I have never heard of him. They said that he has been in New Japan tearing it up, but I have never heard of him. I have never seen him, and I know nothing about him. I have no idea what they're going to do with him, and it's probably not going to lead to anything. They have an issue with bringing in people and not knowing what to do. At Money in the Bank, they brought somebody new for Solo Sikoa, and now they're bringing in somebody else on top of that. What are they going to do with all these people? Like, respect to The Rock, he is clearly getting his people and his family jobs. He's hooking them up, and that's massive and like that's big ups for him. But what are they gonna do with all these people? Are they just gonna be here to take up room and do nothing? Is there something gonna be added? Are we going to get a storyline? What is happening? Why are we just adding more and more people to this story where it's not going anywhere? Solo Sikoa did win this match, so he is the new US champion. He had so much help and so much interference. It'd be crazy if he didn't win. So at the end of the day, he looked kind of weak because he needed 3 different people to help him beat Jacob Fatu. Moving on to the 5th match of the night, it was Asuka and Jade Cargill for the Queen of the Ring crown. This match, this match was good. There was nothing bad about this match. There was nothing bad about all of these matches. All of these matches were decent matches. The problem was that they were generic. They were generic decent. Like nobody messed up. It wasn't a train wreck. It happened, but it was just so generic. It could have been at any SmackDown, and this match is the same thing like every other match. I feel like this match should have had more energy and bigger stakes to it since it was the final of this tournament, but nothing in it really happened. It was a cookie cutter by the numbers match between Jade and Asuka. None of them fucked up and none of them did anything amazing. No big spots, nothing memorable, nothing to discuss. Jade picks up the win. And at the end, they did the same thing. They had a promo in the ring, just like with Cody. And Jade cut this promo, and this promo felt flat. At this time, you could tell that the crowd was either tired or they stopped caring. Because when Jade cut her promo, nobody in the crowd was reacting. The crowd was dead. And even after Jade won, the crowd didn't cheer or anything like that. The crowd was pretty much dead for this whole match. Moving on to the main event, it was Big Match John versus CM Punk. This match too falls in the decent, but it has happened better before. I feel like they really missed a big opportunity to have CM Punk and John Cena wrestle at Money in the Bank so they could bring in the Money in the Bank 2011 match and talk about it, but they did it at Night of Champions for some reason. This match, I can't shit talk this match because we all know that CM Punk and John Cena are not what they used to be. We've seen these guys have classic after classic when they could still go in the ring, but both of them are older now and both of them are slower, so they can't go as much. So this match was pretty much a finisher spam match, non-stop. It was way too spammy, and they tried to get the crowd hyped with having those 1-2 kick out moments where it's supposed to get the crowd to go whoa and all that. But after you do that like 4 times in one match, it gets ridiculous. At the end, this match really went off the rails. So at some point, the ref gets knocked out. CM Punk has the pin on John Cena, but there's no ref to count it. So CM Punk is calling out for a ref, but then Seth Rollins comes out with his homies and the briefcase. He is not dressed to wrestle. He is dressed in a suit. Important because he's walking down and he's saying, "Oh, I'm gonna cash in. I'm gonna cash in." And everybody knows this is gonna be another fake out because they always have a cash in fake out. Seth Rollins' boys go in the ring. They attack Punk. They throw him through a table. And then Seth Rollins is about to cash in. A ref is running down the stage. And then John Cena out of nowhere destroys the ref. John Cena runs through that ref like he was in there. And then Cena and Seth get into it. Seth's homies jump Cena. Seth is trying to cash in, but there is no ref. And then out of nowhere, Penta comes out. Penta comes out. Braun goes after him. They fight for 2 seconds. Braun gets the upper hand. And then Sami Zayn comes out. And he attacks Braun. They keep fighting. Penta does a jump off the stage onto Sami and Braun. And they're out of the match. At that point, with all that happening, Punk is still laid out. In the ring, it's Seth, Reed, and Cena. Reed is about to go hit his finisher, but then CM Punk comes in, clears out the ring with Cena, and then they're both standing in the ring. They have a moment, they shake each other's hand, they go in for a hug, and then Cena does his heel face. He's about to kick Punk in the nuts, but Punk catches it. He gets him up for his finisher. Seth comes in, hits Punk with the briefcase, and then hits his curb stomp on Punk. John Cena capitalizes, throws Seth Rollins out of the ring, goes for the pin. The ref magically wakes up and it goes 1, 2, 3. John Cena wins. CM Punk loses. The title stays on Cena, and Seth never got to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. Again, this was a very generic by the numbers main event match between John Cena and CM Punk. Not only do we had the endless finisher spam, we had the endless run-ins, but we also had the fake out of the cash-in. And you know they're gonna be giving you fake out after fake out for the next half year because they love that for some reason. And yeah, those were all the matches of Night of Champions. Everything was just low energy, generic, by the numbers, nothing special, nothing memorable. And that's the biggest issue with this show. You can say that it sucked, you can say that it was a waste of time, but the biggest issue was that it was just by the numbers, generic. You can waste people's time, at least if you have a really bad show, people can get some sort of emotion out of that. But with a generic, low energy, boring show like this one, it just leaves you feeling empty and hollow inside. So it was just a big waste of time. This show could have been a SmackDown and I wouldn't even know the difference. So now let's get into the ratings. I'm going to start off with giving you the worst match of the night, and then I'm going to give you the juiciest match of the night. So, worst match of the night definitely has to be the Sammy and Cross match. Slowest match in the show, and the crowd was not into it, and very rushed ending. So that's the worst match of the night. After that, it has to be Rhea and Raquel, a boring generic street fight that did not make any sense or had any reason being there. After that, it is Asuka and Jade. While the match itself in a wrestling standpoint, it was good, but there was no heat or feeling behind it, so there's no reason. After that, it was the opener, Cody and Randy. Just another no heat, no stakes match that we could get at any other SmackDown. Then it would be Solo and Fatu. The only reason this match is that high up is because we had a new debut. It might not lead to anything, but it might lead to something, so that's something we should be excited about. And of course, the best match of the night is Cena and Punk, but that's mostly because it was Cena and Punk, so you gotta give it to them. All right. Thank you very much for listening to me. I've taken up enough of your time. I'll see you all next time.